after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from Loan Depot, Eliot Rodriguez back with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Roswell.
How are you doing today?
We're doing good. It's kind of interesting outside looking, don't be speeding, because you never know who's going to take this stop sign.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a little foggy out there this morning. Be cautious as you go out and about here. But so, are you all ready for Thanksgiving this week?
Yes, the wife actually told me the other day, like, I got everything that I need from Thanksgiving. It's like, oh, okay, cool, awesome. So that means we're not going to be at the store no more. Like, no, that doesn't mean that. You know how that goes.
No. Well, and you live in it, or you work in an industry where it isn't the shingle with the open sign on the front and 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. It's not. Obviously, when people are buying homes and things, you work around their schedule, so you probably spend a lot of time after work or on lunch breaks meeting with clients.
Lunch?
And things.
What is that? No, let me tell you something. I'm probably one of the few, if maybe one of the only, that I'm here for my customers.
Sure.
My wife knows this. She doesn't like it too much, but she's a good cheerleader. She's on my side.
Sure.
So
she understands the nature of the job.
She may not love it as much, but she knows, this is what you do, and she knows how much I care about taking care of my customers anyway. So it's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I got it on a Sunday afternoon. Get a text message from one of my customers, and it's like, this is not to bother you. It's basically to tell you, that we appreciate you very much because we know the things that you do in the background that a lot of people don't know. It's like, oh, that's so nice to hear.
When to
get noticed and all that. So I tell her, thank you very much. This is what I do. I love doing this. It's very important to me.
Sure. And that's why you do it.
Yeah.
When you see that and you see the people are happy that they're in the place they want. And because at the end of the day, that's all you're trying to do is make people happy and find a way for them to achieve what they're trying to do.
And it's a big thing, to me, it's almost like a God calling, if you may, okay? Because it's not about the money,
sure,
all right? Because I had to admit it, I've done the right thing,
sure,
okay? And my wife and I are not like, oh my God, we need to be able to pay this. No.
You're not living paycheck to paycheck and like, all right, let's get the thick cut of bologna,
and that makes a big difference because let's be honest, when a real estate agent or a lender, are pressuring you to do anything because they want you to do it now. And don't get me wrong, folks, you need to do it now because the more you wait,
timing is of the essence in many of these deals. Yeah,
but whatever the customer is doing, if they need to take their time, or if they chose the wrong house, like you and I were talking about a minute ago, and then they had to kill that one and go to the next one, so be it. It is okay with me. I don't mind. But we need to move forward and get things, rolling because time is of the essence. That's a very true statement when it comes, especially in real estate. Folks, guys out there, people that are listening, when you're working with your lender, all right, and you're under contract and you still have conditions to meet, please get with your lender, get those conditions. Don't wait until the last minute. Or like you have all the time in the world to do so.
Well, that's the difference between a successful deal and one that falls through.
Oh, let me tell you something.
Is not all the requirements were met, or they jump the gun on financing of other things, and when you buy a home, it doesn't matter. You're kind of locked in a window,
correct,
of certain. Like in that moment, if you're financing for a home, anyway, if you're buying one outright, then you do what you want. But if you're financing for a home, which 99% of us are doing that. There's a window there where you can't be making big purchases or big investments or even thinking about it to the point of you actually make a phone call. You can't, because the minute someone's running a credit check on you, you're creating alarm whistles and bells with your home mortgage process. That's just because they're everything they're doing and trying to make happen is on this certain very bits of information and details. And anytime you add or subtract information to that, you're creating chaos there. And because they're going from, wait a minute, he or she looked good. Now they just bought a car and now we've got an additional $30,000 in debt on here. How do we factor that in? And I'm telling you, it's not even that big. It could be something as small as a cell phone.
Or it could be the small guys. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Before COVID, I had a customer, okay? I still got him at home. But when we started the process, okay, he was getting a small gift from the parents to actually be able to buy a house. Okay, and you know how we get all these accounts with Amazons and this and that, and you tend to forget about them.
Sure.
Okay, those are like credit cards. All right, so you get those. If you don't pay them, it's gonna affect your credit.
Sure.
Just the same. And the funniest thing is, we went through the whole process, and we keep going back and forth because a lot of times customers don't keep track of those things, and we don't have statements for those because they do all that online,
Sure.
nonsense.
Sure, yeah. It's quick and convenient. But
It's quick and convenient, but it can be, an inconvenience after the fact.
sure, for record keeping purposes.
Exactly. So he was a little confused that he had one or he had two. In the end of the day, we keep thinking he had, one because they were almost the same thing, and he keeps saying, no, I only had one. And I can say, no, he's showing two, And we clear one, and he was doing one of those government loans, the first-time home buyers for New Mexico. Folks, it's still going on. If you've been thinking about buying a house and you don't have enough money in the bank saved up, keep saving, of course.
But there's a lot of programs.
There's programs available to help you with that.
And obviously there's the special ones, veterans, teachers, law enforcement,
all
those
that kind of stuff.
things.
There's out there.
But there's
VA,
so many.
I mean, you name it.
But there's so many that none of that. It's just, hey, if you're a first time buyer, there's opportunity.
We always talk about this before. Like people tell them, "Oh, I can never buy a house." They're like, well, who have you been talking to? So this guy, we went through the whole process. We find out that he had the two accounts. Okay. So, it was a $10 fee. Okay.
All that turmoil.
A $10 fee.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That program is very particular. Okay. So you can't have no negative things after, especially after we're trying to finish. So everything went well. We fixed it. We had an exception for that. So we got the statements. We're waiting. We're getting everything clear to close. We'll find out that he didn't pay it. So that $100, that $10 ended up being $110.
Oh man, with fees and everything.
Oh my God. I was like, no. So we end up not having to do that house. And at the same time, I think God was watching because it wasn't the greatest house in the world. And
so it was kind of his excuse to maybe back out.
It was a good
second
thing.
thoughts. Feet were getting a little chilly.
Sometimes got intervened in some way.
Sure. And I get that too sometimes because
it happens.
And that's when, and we were talking a little bit about this, before going on air here, and there's that fine line. You look for the house you want, but at the same time, there's not going to be the house that has exactly everything that you're looking for just sitting there waiting for you. You're going to have so some people then it becomes, all right, well, what are you willing to accept?
Correct.
Are you willing to make no adjustments? Or are you willing to say, well, let's buy this house and I can upgrade it or do what I want to do to it, which is what most people do. But when you live in a world where supply and demand are what it is, sometimes you getting picky might end up hurting you more than helping you.
And we're going to touch that in a second.
Yeah.
So what happened in the end of the day is like we could have still got the same house, but we needed time now.
Sure.
Because we had to reset. And I don't think the seller was going to wait. So in the in the end of the day, he ended up benefiting him because he went and find a different home. So the month after, we actually went and got him a home.
And especially if in the market we were in, there may have been 2 or 3 more offers sitting on the other side waiting.
At that time, yes. At that time,
for that house that he's trying to clear up a $10
in my opinion, I know. In my opinion, he ended up getting a better house.
Good. Well, it lucked out.
It worked out for him in a good way.
That's not the recommended way to go about this.
No, that's not the way to go, guys. You have to...
But we're in the holiday season, and that's why you got to be. If you're in the market for buying houses right now, and of course you're doing your Christmas shopping,
you can't play the game like, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. Either yes or no. And
I know we do it all the time because you get on Amazon and you're like, ooh, I could save $50 on this purchase if I sign up for an Amazon card. And then you do that, and guess what? You're in the middle of a house right now that just screwed up everything.
Exactly. So you should think real well.
Pay cash if you're going to be buying Christmas gifts,
especially to the holidays.
Yeah,
because it's too
don't rack
easy.
Up your credit cards.
Well, I just closed the deal Friday, and I closed with the buyers on Thursday, and the seller closed on Friday. So here I am getting on my emails and checking stuff, and I'm sending a message that says it's not funded yet. It's like, what do you mean it's not funded? We closed yesterday. Okay. I like, oh, there's a condition. What do you mean there's a condition? This has been clear to close for a long time. Well, they went shopping. They did some kind of credit, so now we
no.
have to clear that.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how important it is.
It is.
We already signed.
Yeah.
And here we are about to fund.
Till you close on that house and they
Until
hand
it's
you the
funded,
keys.
Yeah. You don't have keys. It's funded.
Yeah.
I would recommend anybody that's buying a house out there. Okay. If you just must have to buy that new furniture, that new refrigerator that is the double door. Why? Because now you have a bigger kitchen.
Sure.
Okay? God hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
All right. Just wait a few days after you close.
Absolutely.
Okay. Don't
Or
rush.
pay cash.
Or pay cash if you have the
Yeah.
money available. But yeah, you have to be careful in those things.
Yeah.
Now talking about supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as you folks been taking a look at what's happening in the market, a lot of homes are still coming up.
Sure.
For sale.
Still a lot of signs out there.
But
Yeah.
expensive homes. Okay. Now there's a few averages in the 150, 100 and so that are creeping in little by little because let's
But
be
it's
honest.
the 3 and up
Yes.
market.
And
yeah.
that's tough for some folks. Don't rush into buying anything, but at the same time, don't take forever either because your real estate agents are trying to help you,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they are expecting you to, be there for the appointments and all that kind of stuff for you to make a decision.
Sure.
Now, if you don't find the house that you want, of course, there's nothing you can do about that.
Sure.
All right? But don't put yourself in a point that you got three contenders and you just don't know who's the winner.
Sure.
Okay? That can be very frustrating for anybody.
Is it because it's the more expensive homes that this is a bigger problem? And what I mean by that is, obviously, if you're paying out more money for something, you want it to be more
Better.
like what you want.
Yes.
You're like, dude, if all right, here's $100,000 for a house. You're like, okay, it's $100,000. There's going to be things that aren't right that need to be fixed
Of course,
up
don't
or
expect.
need to be changed.
I always say, don't expect the Taj Mahal. You can make it the Taj Mahal later.
Yeah,
Okay?
exactly. But when you're spending $300,000-$400,000 for a house, you're like, I want it kind of move-in ready.
Exactly.
And that's where it's like, well, it is move-in ready if you don't mind tile instead of wood floor or whatever it
true.
is. Yeah,
And that's very true.
granite counters instead of quartz or whatever's
Now,
in there.
on the other side, okay, or the quarter on that, folks, if you guys are out there looking for houses and you just don't seem to be able to find the right house, just do a remodeling loan if that's even available for you, okay? Because you can make the house the house that is not your dream 100% and it's just missing a few things, you can make it a house of your dream by adding a few things. And guys,
Absolutely.
you don't do that before you close. You do that after you close. It
Sure.
means the home is yours, and those things will be taking place afterwards.
Yeah, it's not like you buy a car and then you go and put a bunch of ground effects and things on it before you even bought the car.
No, you do it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and also keep in mind, because that's the problem, because what is the reason why some of the expensive homes are popping up because they're way nicer. Let's be realistic.
Sure.
Okay. And don't feel so bad out there, guys, because if you go to Carlsbad, those $350,000 homes and stuff like that, in 300,000, they're not even that as nice as a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah. You get in Eddy County where supply and
it's so
demand
crazy. And
was even bad before.
Remember,
COVID
yeah,
and everything
there are
else.
almost no houses. They were
Yeah.
like fighting for.
There's so many jobs and not enough homes to house the people.
You remember they go in the market the same day. The
Yeah.
same day they're in contract.
People are living here and commuting to Carlsbad every day just because there's houses here and no houses in Carlsbad or Eddy County.
Like I always said, we're like in a bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, people need to pay attention to these things because we're literally like in a bubble, like
Yeah.
for all kinds of different things.
And then when Fletzy got involved, and of course they have a certain standard with their homes, and and of course the people that come through, they're getting subsidies on BAS, BAH, and their government operations, and so they give them BAS and BAH or BAH in this case, and it's like, yeah, you've got to spend $1,300 a month on a house, and you're like, but if you don't, you're not getting $1,300, and so
Correct.
they'll go and pay $13 for a house that in the real market's probably only worth about $800 a month.
And the rent is getting expensive.
Yeah.
And because let's be honest, the folks are paying attention. Okay. I mean, if I was renting a home for $850 and now I can rent it for $1,200, why should I not do that? You know, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, things are about to take place. As we know, the Feds, increase the interest rate, as we know. A handful of things have been taking place, so it's balancing out somewhat. folks, what that means is that the interest ceiling interest rate. And what I mean is from 5.5 to 7.5, or even 8%, depending on the scenario or the type of mortgage you're doing. It went higher.
Yeah.
Okay. But what that means also is costing a little less because it's balancing out somewhat.
Gotcha.
And that's what we were
So
expecting.
are we starting to see like a little correction now in kind of things a little bit?
For a moment, I was supposed to, and it didn't seem to be. Then last week, it kind of happened. All right. But then it seems to be that it's like balancing out way too fast. So what does that mean? It got positive, and we were hoping that it stay positive, like better,
Gotcha.
okay, for a longer period of time. And it didn't seem to be.
Sure. Well, and how much is elections like this? No, like the red
big
wave or
time.
lack or thereof, whatever you want to call what happened.
Well, now
did that impact positively or negatively one way or the other? Or?
Now, like they say, the orange guy.
Yeah.
Now that the Trump, finally came out and said that he's going to do it, let's see what happens now to the market. Okay, because let's be honest, everything that's going on, the war, the Queen dying. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's in Europe." No, it affects us all.
Finance is all connected.
They're all connected.
We're a world market.
Okay?
We're all connected.
So everything that's happening in the market is going to be, the house change. I mean, this is a huge thing because the Democrat had a hold on everything. Okay, and now you saw how that affected everything too.
Sure.
So it's a matter of what's going to happen with the market and how everybody's going to be investing. And hopefully it gets better for those folks that, we have the 401ks and all that kind of stuff. So stay the course. Don't get too scared about stuff because it goes up and down. That's just the way it is.
Sure.
But there's some positive things happening. I mean, the house and everything, and now there are different people in power. So in some ways, to the market, it translates to somewhat a little more stability. Okay. Because let's be honest, it was just one power.
Sure.
And that's never good for any country.
Absolutely. You want the checks and balances.
Yes.
And when you don't have that, then that's when there's problems.
It affects it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the market, we discussed this a few months ago that California, Canada, Europe, all that stuff, that the sales from homes, declined. It did. And what is happening is it's going to affect the market as well. And that's what the Feds were trying to control. And let's be honest, the Feds did a lot of damage to the system in any way from the very beginning because of what they were trying to do. And they were putting way too much into it. And, it just keeps, rising. And like we always say, the balloon's going to pop eventually.
Exactly.
I have to give them some credit because what they have done, I think it may even work. I don't know if they were expecting to work faster, and what is happening in the market, ending up, maybe getting in a positive spin of things. We'll see how it develops this week. I'm counting on it to go lower again.
Gotcha.
But remember, the Fed may even adjust it again. So
it's still a little Wild West.
It's still
right
a little
now.
Wild West. Still, talking about Wild West. Talking about Montana and all that stuff that you guys were talking
Yellowstone
about.
here.
Yellowstone.
It's still a Yellowstone.
I mean, it's like you have to watch it. It's almost like that,
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, guys, don't be afraid of that stuff.
Well, and you say this every month. If you need a house,
just go for it.
then it's the time to get the house.
Yeah, just do it.
It doesn't matter what the market's doing, what the world is doing. If you need a house, then that's the time for you to get a house.
And if your lender is not communicating with you and it's not discussing these things and talking about what if or what is happening or what is the best scenario, and all you did is just basically did an application and you don't know nothing about what's happening, I'm sorry, you were the wrong lender, okay? You need to communicate with your lender. Your lender needs to be there for you and make sure that this is not going to be a bad choice for you.
Sure.
All right? And that's what I try to do.
It's a confusing enough process when you're going through a gauntlet of calls or having to talk to representatives in 30 different places and everything else. With you and Loan Depot, that's the difference. You talk to you. You're here. You deal. You've got the benefit of the local guy that you can walk in the office and sit down and have a conversation or
Correct.
talk about it, with the backing of the large company and the stability and security that comes with that. And I have a loan with Loan Depot. I know exactly how they work, and they're very it's one of these companies that started by a group of investors that wanted to do it different, and they've been doing it different.
What is it?
And-
The masters of the universe.
yeah. And so it's a bunch of people that were in the financial world a long time and said, you know what, these people I can do this to benefit the people better. And that's really how the company's started and keeps going with. So you kind of get the best of both. If you like the fact that you got a strong national, one of the, if not the strongest national lending companies in the country now.
We number 2 largest non-banking, lending company in the United States.
There you go.
That's huge, guys.
It is.
I mean,
that doesn't say Chase or Bank of America in front of it. That's
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. And to be able to actually be that big, and I was very excited at first. I don't even think it's still even kind of like settling it down on me because I'm actually brought a big bank to our area. I mean, this is a good thing, and I'm very excited and proud that I was able to be part of that, and my office is almost open. Okay. So,
we'll be ready for Christmas, so like a Christmas present.
I'm hoping that's the case. It's been difficult with like contractors and stuff like
Supply and demand. You're dealing with the same problems everybody else is. Getting
so you
work
see,
done.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the same time, I'm not in such a rush because I'm so busy.
You're on the road, like your office is where your phone is and where you are. Pretty
exactly.
much.
So because all that is being a few hiccups here and there as far as like who's going to do this, who's going to do that.
Sure.
But right now they're like in the place to like, hey, let's get this thing done. So right now we're doing all the cabling, so getting everything set.
Get all highfalutin.
Because I need my bigger printers, dude. I mean, I'm on what is it? I'm on 25 capacity when I need to be at 100% capacity.
Well, let's face it. Ink pens and paper is one thing you need because there's a line of signing going on at the office. So
you're kidding.
Anybody that's bought a house knows that you need a fresh ink pen to get into that building.
We have pens.
Otherwise, you might run out of ink by the time you get done.
Well, it's exciting, folks. I'm opening an office where the Roswell escrow office used to be.
Yep.
Okay, so we're turning something bad for something good.
Yeah.
All right. So and it's a perfect location, and I believe I'm going to be able to do a lot of things for our folks here in town. And I've been doing that all these years, so I'm looking forward for what is going to come for the future.
Absolutely.
And everything looks very good. I love the company. Like I was saying, guys, we're number 2. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it's a stable company, and and customer service, which is something in that world, is not always a given because, quite frankly, they don't need to because they run the show. And Loan Depot takes it from a different perspective. They're at the end of the day, they're trying to get you a loan and trying to help you. At the same time, not just giving you a loan to say, hey, we're making the stockholders happy because we gave all these loans. Oh, by the way, 50% didn't deserve them because they're not qualified, but we got them. And that's then we're getting back to Fannie Mae stuff and all that. But that's where you got people that are investing in people, doing stuff with people, but making smart decisions, and also people that aren't qualifying. And this is where Eliot really comes in. He helps you, and this is something Eliot's been doing. Doesn't matter what company he works for. He's always sat and said, if I'm going to work with you and you're not ready, you're not physically able to buy a home today, I'm going to give you the plan that you can come see me in a set amount of time, and we're going to get you in a home if you are committed to what we want to do here. And a lot of lenders will do that. They're just like, oh, nah, you don't qualify. Good luck to you. See you later. Good luck to somebody else.
I never understood that. I mean, every loan counts. I used to sell vacuum cleaners and Electrolux. Okay. I mean, this is like you go door to door and you go everywhere.
You've had a lot of doors slammed in your face, I'm guessing.
Oh my God! Trust me, and it changed the perspective of life when it comes to work.
Sure.
I mean, I believe there's this saying in our business: either you have it, or you don't have it, and that's just a fact.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the temperament to actually take care of customers,
some people are
and
meant
be
to
patient,
do it, some aren't.
Oh yeah, some people can't. I know a few that shouldn't be doing what I do. Anyway, but the thing is this: the tools are there, okay, and the government has given us tools, and programs to help some of the folks that are not as in a position that is so easier for them, okay. But at the same time, we are there to make sure that they don't do something stupid either.
Sure.
Okay. Also, folks, the government do actually, monitor and control how much we spend on any loan at any given time.
Oh, yeah, you're heavily regulated.
So you don't just, so if you're spending a bunch of money, it doesn't seem to be like, oh, it just keeps costing more and more and more, and there's no stop. Okay, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound right. Okay, because that's one of the biggest pet peeve of me. Like, I want to make sure that you don't spend too much. Okay, and give you the best option, at the moment.
Sometimes we get so excited in the ability that we can, we don't remember, we don't stop to think if it's the right move. And,
Correct.
and some people get so excited that they're approved for a home, like that's great, but now you're buying or doing something that at the end of the day, you probably bought too much or did too much, and you took too big a bite that first time. And I get it. We all want the American dream, and we want it now. And so you sell yourself in your head that you can afford that house. That okay, just because the lenders did the math and said, and this is the difference, because we're running short on time, but this is the difference. Eliot will sit there and say, in theory, you can afford it, but guess what? If you pay this much for a month for your mortgage, how are you going to buy furniture? How are you going to manage your other bills? How are you going to manage the lifestyle you want? Do you want to have furniture in this house? Do you want to have food and something to cook it with? I mean, it's
true.
That and there's philosophy. Some people, if you're young and dumb and don't mind living in a big house with a couple of card tables and an egg crate to sit on. Some people don't mind that. If you're going bigger and better and shooting, and you want to do it that way, but most families aren't down with that. So and that's where you gotta.
I have to bring a guy, to a little more of a reality situation. This very same weekend, they're going higher, for 450, higher than what they should. Not because you and I said this before. Not because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Okay. And the reason you haven't chosen a home is because your inner person is telling you, no, you can't.
Sure.
But you still want those.
Well, it's a scary moment.
It's
to buy
very
your first,
scary.
How many people got sweaty palms and sweating when they're signing those first paperwork, that first house they buy?
I told him, you know what? We should have got a house 3 or 4 months ago already, and you haven't. And I gave you some leeway into now because I didn't think I should, you know. Because I told you this, and you guys keep going higher and higher. And you need to bring it back down to here, and that way you're comfortable.
Sure.
Okay? Because I can read it. I've been reading it for weeks.
Absolutely. It's poker. You're reading the table and reading the room. Like
we do that here. It's been a few. We need to talk to Thomas.
He's in the other room.
But you know what, guys? Don't be afraid to buy a house. If you have a lender that cares for you, he's going to go the extra mile. Okay?
Absolutely.
Like, I'll uncover every stone. I just making sure everything is in place.
Sure.
And guys, I don't play checkers. I play chess.
Yeah, you go to bat for your people.
I think about all the extra moves and all these different things that are going to happen just in case.
Yeah, you go above and beyond, and if you can't make it happen that day, then you give them the tools, the path to get to where they want to get to.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Exactly.
Because you never know. I'd rather you close a home 5 days or 10 days afterwards, and you close 10 days sooner, and you bought the wrong house because you just rushed and you were too, you took too many chances that you should have never took.
Get it right is always better than get it fast.
I agree.
I know we live in a world where sometimes don't feel that way.
I'm quick. If anybody wants to check and see my stacks in there, go on Facebook and see. I got deals that I got clear to close in 17, 15 days. I even had one on 4 business days. I remember when my old boss, we were talking about, hey, I beat him, because, I did one that it was quicker than anything that they ever done.
Yeah.
And if everything falls in place and all the stars align, guys, we can close the loan super fast.
Nice.
Okay. But take your time and do the right thing for yourself.
Absolutely. Reach out to Eliot. You can call him. Like I said, the office is still being worked on, so probably call him directly on his cells. Probably the quickest, fastest way to get a hold of Eliot. Reach Eliot Rodriguez with Loan Depot at 719-237-4680. Again, that's 719-237-4680. Or you can email him, Eliot Rodriguez at loandepot.com. Again, that's all one word, Eliot Rodriguez at the little ampersand, loandepot.com. Or go to his website, which is loandepot.com/Eliot Rodriguez, all
Correct.
one word. And you can go and read all the stats.
Oh, and there's some really good information in there, folks. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, and if you're scared, read that. And he can kind of, and he'll navigate you through all that. And And who knows? Maybe a home for the holidays here.
I know. 2022 is still alive.
That's right.
You know,
still a little time.
We're not done for the year yet.
Yeah. Still more damage to be done.
I know. I can't wait to start saying almost the last customer of the year. I can't wait for that because
about a month away.
I want this year to be over with and let's start fresh.
Let's see if we can start over here. But thank you, Eliot, as always. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Same to you. Same to you, all you guys out there. Happy Thanksgiving to all you.
Absolutely, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.